Chipotle built a $90 billion company on 4 words: food with integrity. But here's what almost nobody talks about. That phrase isn't really about the food. It's a psychological trigger. And once you see how it works, you'll notice it in half the brands you trust, without ever asking why. Today we're breaking down how Chipotle used a marketing tactic called transparency theater to make you feel like you were making an ethical choice every time you just wanted a burrito. Back in 2001, Chipotle was just another fast food chain competing with Taco Bell and Qdoba. Nothing special about the food, nothing special about the price. So founder Steve Ells did something almost no fast food company had done before. He didn't compete on price. He didn't compete on speed. He competed on a feeling, the feeling that eating at Chipotle made you a better person than eating at McDonald's. The phrase, food with integrity, launched in 2001, and it wasn't a description, it was a permission slip. It gave customers permission to feel good about a decision they were already going to make anyway. This is the first psychological trigger: moral licensing. When people believe a choice is ethical, they don't just tolerate paying more, they seek it out, because the purchase becomes an act of identity, not just a transaction. Here's where it gets interesting. Chipotle didn't actually need to be the most ethical company in fast food. They needed to look more transparent than everyone else. And transparency reads as trustworthy even when the underlying facts are complicated. Think about the language on their packaging and menus. Words like responsibly raised, naturally raised, family farms. These phrases sound like verified facts. Most of them are marketing categories with loose definitions, not audited certifications. That's not necessarily deception. It's something more clever. It's specificity bias. The human brain treats specific claims as more credible than vague ones, even when the specificity doesn't actually tell you much. Responsibly raised sounds measurable. It isn't really, but it feels like it is, and that feeling is the entire product. Compare that to a competitor just saying, quality ingredients. Vague, forgettable. Chipotle's language did the psychological work of an audit without the actual audit. Now here's the part that makes this case study actually fascinating, instead of just a marketing lesson. The E. coli outbreaks of 2015 and 2016. Sales collapsed. Stock dropped over 40%. And this is normally the point where a brand's core promise gets destroyed, because the whole pitch was, we're safer and more careful than the other guys. But Chipotle didn't lose the integrity brand. They survived because the emotional story, small farms, real ingredients, doing it the harder way, was strong enough that customers treated the outbreak as a logistics failure, not a betrayal of values. This is the power of narrative insulation. Once a brand owns a value in your head, operational failures get filed separately from the identity you've attached to them. People didn't stop believing Chipotle cared. They just believed Chipotle messed up, temporarily, while still caring. Try to imagine McDonald's surviving the exact same outbreak with the exact same recovery. It's a different conversation, because McDonald's never asked you to believe in them morally in the first place. Here's the underlying psychology in plain terms. Humans don't like thinking of themselves as making purely selfish decisions, even small ones, like lunch. When a brand offers you a values-based reason for a purchase you already wanted to make, it removes the friction of guilt. This is why food with integrity was never really about farming practices. It was about giving you a story to tell yourself while you ate the same burrito you would have ordered anyway. And once that story exists, you defend it, because the story is now part of how you see your own choices. This is exactly why you've seen an explosion of fast casual brands using the same playbook. Specific-sounding sourcing language, farm imagery, words like clean, real, honest, none of it is accidental. It's the Chipotle formula, run again and again, because moral licensing plus specificity bias is one of the most reliable ways to justify a higher price point in food. The lesson for any brand, or, honestly, for any of us evaluating a brand, is that specific-sounding language isn't the same as verified language. It just feels that way. Chipotle didn't win because their food was dramatically better than the competition. They won because they gave you a better story to tell yourself while eating it. Next time, we're breaking down how Duolingo turned guilt into one of the most effective growth engines in app history. If you want to see the psychology behind the brands you trust without questioning why, subscribe.